Dungeons & Dragons is a role-playing game that is driven by die rolls. These little random chaos generators will result in epic successes and memorable fails. So, that means your players should roll for everything, right? Not necessarily. Your players may be rolling too much, or they may not be rolling enough. Confusing, right? Hi, my name is Rich. I'm a first-time DM. Let's look at the times you should ask for a die roll, those times you shouldn't, and the things to do instead in those moments you shouldn't have asked for a die roll, but you did anyways, or to have failures work for the plot. When not to ask for a die roll. Number 1, to obtain plot relevant info or an item. Normally, I keep the most important tip for the end, but in this case, this one is so important it must be discussed first. Never, and I mean never, hide plot relevant information or item behind a die roll. Nothing will derail your campaign faster than the players not being able to obtain necessary info or an item due to a poor die roll. If the players fail to obtain the info or item, now you need to come up with a different way to get the players what they need. If you are great at improv, this could be easy enough. However, if you aren't, you need to pause the session so you can figure it out. Or, and this is the worst case, you need to stop the session completely because you need time to figure it out. Do this instead. Have a ticking clock. A ticking clock means the world around the party continues as normal. The amount of time it takes the party to accomplish a task determines if the world around them changes, usually for the worse. Here's an example. The party is searching for someone from town that was kidnapped. During their investigation of the town, it was determined that the local magic shop owner is in on the plot. The party goes to the magic shop to ask questions, specifically the location of where the kidnapped townsperson is being held. You have a player roll for persuasion or intimidation, depending upon how they go about it. You set a low DC, say 10 for the shopkeeper to give up the information they need. The player rolls a 6 total. Instead of the party not obtaining the info and the investigation coming to a halt, you can have the discussion take longer and maybe have a few more rolls to determine when the shop owner finally gives up the information. By having a ticking clock means that it took too long to get the information. So instead of the kidnapped townsperson being held in the basement of the abandoned church on the outskirts of town, where the shopkeeper sends them, they've been moved to a cave outside of town. So, instead of your session and investigation coming to a halt when the players arrive at the abandoned church, they will need to find the trail that leads to the cave, which means another die roll to eventually find the trail. Or it is so obvious that someone left in such a hurry they didn't cover their tracks. A ticking clock will add urgency to the story. Number 2, when success is simply not possible. If success is not possible, even if the player rolls a total of 30 or higher, do not ask for a die roll. And if the player asks to roll, this is one of the times it is okay for the DM to say no. In my campaign, natural 20s and natural 1s are only auto successes and failures during combat. So there are times that success is just not possible, no matter the die roll in total. So in those cases, I never ask for a die roll. Here's an example. The party is brought before the king. The bard, being played as a stereotypical bard, says they want to convince the king to give up their crown. The king will never give up their crown, no matter if the bard has a plus 15 of persuasion and could roll a nat 20 for a total of 35. In this case, I would have the king laugh and say something like, "This crown has been in my family for 200 years, and I would never simply just give it up to a bard just because they can speak eloquently." But I would not have the bard roll for anything. Number 3, one success should be automatic. There will be times when a party comes across a situation that they should automatically be able to pass. The PCs will eventually have crazy pluses to skills or really high ability scores and modifiers. For example, the rogue may have a plus 15 to pick locks, or the barbarian has a 22 strength, plus 6 modifier. Also, I believe the PCs become super efficient with certain skills over time. So, for example, the rogue has no issues picking locks with a DC less than DC 20. The barbarian can easily bust down a simple wooden door that is locked, and the monk has no issues climbing a tree to get a better vantage point. I never have my players roll for anything their character should easily be able to succeed at. However, you still may want them to roll because in your game, nothing is automatic. Do this instead. Partial success instead of failure. If you do want them to still roll, have them automatically succeed, but failure by more than 5 results in a partial success. For example, the rogue took a long time picking a lock, so maybe a guard sees them enter the building. The barbarian busted through the door, but takes 1d4 damage from splinters. Or the monks started to fall, but caught themselves, and it takes another round or action to complete the climb. And to ask for a die roll. Outside of initiative and combat, there is one question to ask yourself to determine if you should ask for a die roll. Will success or failure of the die roll determine, change, or affect the story? If the answer is yes, ask for the die roll. If no, simply handle the situation narratively and move the session on. Die rolls need to have consequences, good or bad. Success means the party obtains the information immediately, or the party convinces a guard to believe them. Failure means they don't find the hidden safe that contains some amazing, but not plot relevant, magic item. Or now the town guard is watching them and they can't try to sneak into a shop. The result of the die roll can be unexpected, so you as a DM need to be ready to adjust to whatever the outcome is. D&D is a cooperative storytelling game. The DM is the narrator of what happens. The players determine what they do next, but the dice decide the fate of the players and the direction of the story. The dice will determine whether the players live or die, whether the BBG's plans are foiled, and whether the players immediately are able to follow the path through the woods and save the missing NPC, or the players get lost in those woods, only to arrive after the missing NPC has been moved, or worse, killed. The dice gods can be fickle. One session your players are rolling crit after crit during combat, steamrolling your encounters. And the next, you as the DM can't roll less than a 17, making every save and never missing an attack. And the next thing you know, 3 players are rolling death saves, and you're beginning to wonder what the next campaign should be. So be careful when you ask for a die roll. The results may completely change everything. Thanks, as always, to @KMarie. She is the artist behind the logos you see here, on my merch site, and my Facebook page. Be sure to join my Discord channel and check out my Facebook page and merch site. Links to those in the description. A thumbs up if you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and ring that bell to be notified when a new video from me drops. Please leave a comment if you disagree with anything on this video, and let me know if you asked for too many die rolls or too few as a DM, and if there are other situations I didn't cover in this video. If you are a DM, check out my Dungeon Master Tips playlist for DM tips. If you are a player, be sure to check out my Player Tips playlist too. Both links are right over there. I also have a couple videos up regarding the new 2024 rules, so if you're interested in how the new rules are in actual play, be sure to check them out too. Thanks for watching. Remember to be kind to each other, accept each other, and love each other. Now let's roll some dice.